Hey, this is Mr. Ariel. I'm here today with a lesson on unit conversions. Have some paper ready and a pencil, and let's go ahead and get started. Now, the reason that unit conversions are important is because there are a lot of different units in science. You may have learned the metric system in previous classes where you can slide the decimal 3 spots to the right or 2 spots to the left, depending on the unit. And that was good, but many of the units that we're going to learn and use in this class are going to be quite unfamiliar. And to make it a little bit worse, that sliding the decimal trick just simply won't work. So the method I'm going to teach you here is going to allow you to convert between any units in science, even very, very unfamiliar ones. Now, you'll need to memorize several unit abbreviations. First is grams, that's lowercase g, and then liters is capital L, and meters is lowercase m. Now, you will need to memorize 3 unit prefixes, and the first is kilo, that's lowercase k, and then milli is lowercase m, and centi is lowercase c. And last on the slide, you'll need to memorize 3 conversion factors. Now, 1 kilo anything, I used a star right here to stand for anything. 1 kilo star is equal to 1,000 stars. Additionally, 1 anything is equal to 1,000 milli anythings. And last up, 1 star or anything is equal to 100 centistars or centi anythings, if you want to think of it that way. So you're going to want to stop and get all this into your notes in just a second, but I want to take time to mention that you shouldn't take time to memorize the unit conversions in this form. I mean, it's a true statement that 1 star is equal to 1,000th of a kilostar, and a millistar is equal to 1,000th of a star. And the same thing is true for centistars. They're equal to 100th of a star. But if you realize that all of these conversion factors are the exact same thing as these 3 conversions, don't waste time memorizing them this way when just this way over here will carry you everywhere you need to go with unit conversions. Now pause the video at this point, make sure you've got all these notes written into your paper, and then let's move on. All right, for the next thing, we're going to learn the method for unit conversions. And soon you'll memorize this entire process, but for now, I do want you to write down the numbered steps that are going to be over here on this side. So if we have an example problem here that looks like 1.24 grams is equal to a number of milligrams, the first step is to write the measurement you were given over 1. And so that's as easy as taking 1.24 grams and writing it over 1. And that was a decimal, not a comma. Now the next step is to follow that up with a time sign and a line. And I usually use the dot for the time sign because it reduces confusion over whether it's an X or a multiply sign. Now, third step is to find a useful conversion factor. Like we know that 1 gram is going to be equal to 1,000 milligrams. And that was based on the information in the previous slide. The fourth step is to place each side of the conversion factor above and below the line so that the starting unit cancels out. Well, the starting unit was grams, and so I need this side of my conversion factor to be written on the bottom because a gram divided by a gram is just 1, and so it stops mattering at that point. Now we need to take the other side of the conversion factor, the 1,000 milligrams, and it just ends up on top because that's the only place we have left. Now the fifth step is to cancel the units and finish the math. And well, I already canceled those units because I was making a point. And you can plug these numbers in the calculator, or at this point, you could probably solve this in your head and just slide the decimal 3 steps to the right. Now again, I'm mentioning this sliding the decimal 3 steps to the right or to the left, and you could totally use that method to solve this problem, but later problems in this class, that sliding the decimal trick is just going to leave you helpless. So focus on learning this kind of easy technique at this point, because it's going to carry you through a large portion of this class. Now let's get one more practice problem and we'll be all done with the notes. So I've got 1.2 milliliters is equal to a number of liters. So the first step is write what I was given over 1. Then we follow it with time sign and a line. All right, so now we need to take the conversion factor and write it above or below the line so that that starting unit cancels out. So our starting unit was milliliters, and so we need this side of the expression to be written here so that those units will cancel out. Then don't forget, we got to finish up and put 1 liter up here on top. And then the last step is to finish up the math and cancel units, of course. So milliliters cancel out. They cancel down here. That means we did this correctly and the 1 liter is correctly up here in the numerator, and we were right to put 1,000 down on the denominator. Now, you don't always have to write this step down, but a lot of students struggle with jumping from directly this to the finished answer. And so really what we're going to do is divide 1.2 by 1,000, but let me show you why that works out. If we just multiply across the numerator 1.2 times 1, and we have liters, and then 1 times 1,000 on the denominator. Well, I think you know that multiplying anything by 1 is really not going to change the number, and so I'm just canceling out those 1s. And so if you can see, we ended up with 1.2 liters divided by 1,000. That means we can just go straight to a calculator now, or you could probably still move that decimal 3 places to the left. But remember, that method won't carry you much further in this class, so focus on this method even if it seems too easy to you right now. It's definitely going to carry you through a big portion of the course. So let me finish the math, stop talking for a second. When we plug it in the calculator or slide the decimal, that's going to be 0.0012 liters. Now, I've been teaching this subject for about 20 years, and one of the things I find students get confused about, at least at first, is they try to memorize whether the 1 part of the conversion factor, like the 1 liter or the 1 gram, they try to memorize if that goes on the top or on the bottom. And then they get confused because sometimes the 1 goes on the bottom, like this problem, or it goes on the top for this problem down here. And so I tell you as a teacher, don't try to memorize whether the 1 goes on the top or the bottom. It's just simply a waste of time. Instead, every time you do a problem, decide where to write each side so that those starting units will cancel out. So again, we started with milliliters right here on this problem, and so we had to write milliliters down here in the denominator. On this problem, we started with grams, and so we had to write the 1 gram portion down in the denominator, just so those units will cancel out. So at this point, we're at the end of the video. Make sure you've got all this into your notes, though. I hope the video has been helpful to you today, and as always, thanks for watching.